All right. Yes, it says I'm live. Okay, guys. So I am on here today because I want to talk about what it's going to take for you to find joy inside of this new year. Like we just hit 2020. It's a new year, it's a new decade, and there's going to be all kinds of great stuff that's going to be happening. And so, what I want to do is, I just wrote a blog article and I'm going to be pulling some of my ideas off of that because I want to make sure that I stay on point and I don't waste any of your time. So, we're entering into this new year, this new time. And when we look forward over our next decade, like how do we know that the next decade isn't going to be the same as our previous decade? Like what kind of changes are we going to experience? And the one thing that we know with like certainty is that over the next decade, like change is going to happen. That's the nature of life. That's what life is. Life is the constant change. And that's what time represents. Like that is the purpose of time, is to change. And so most of us, no matter what, it's a natural human reaction to change, is that we face change with fear. And whether it's conscious or it's unconscious, we look at change, and there's a lot of times that we experience fear going into it. And so what I want to talk about is something that Bruce Lee was real heavy on, and that's that we must learn to flow or embrace change with fluidity. And the reason that it's important is, if you think about it, if change comes at you and you can bend and move and flow like a willow tree underneath the weight of snow, then after the snow load is gone, or even during it, you can regain your shape. You can return to where you were before. But if you're rigid and stiff like an oak tree, underneath the burden of a heavy snow, boughs break. And once the snow is gone, you can't repair a break. So the whole idea is that going forward, creating change or embracing change, moving forward inside this new decade, it's about flow and fluidity. And Bruce Lee said that to change with change is the changeless state. I don't think that I'm like fully qualified to try to interpret what Bruce Lee was really saying there, but what I can say is what that means to me personally. And what I take away from that is that it means to live a life that is fluid and painless, even though change continues to happen and impact our lives. And it comes from an understanding that change is a continuous flow. So it's to recognize like where we hold fear inside of ourselves when we're facing change, and then it helps us, if we can recognize hold fear, it helps us continue with the flow of change in this effortless state. So facing change with this effortless state, or Bruce called it the changeless state. And one last thing that I want to talk about here is, he said that a quote of his, and I'm not going to try to do it with his accent, I'd brutalize it. He says, "You must be shapeless, formless, like water. And when you pour water into a cup, it becomes the cup. When you pour water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. When you pour water into a teapot, it becomes a teapot. Water can drip and it can crash. Become like water, my friend." And so when you're looking forward at some of the biggest obstacles that you have right now, what would water do in the face of those obstacles? If you were water, if you were formless, shapeless like water, if you were fluid like water, how would you approach those obstacles that you're facing right now, or the ones that are coming up? And then from a more grounded perspective, I mean, that's like from the eagle eye view of finding joy inside the new year. And from a more grounded perspective, I want to talk about the natural energy or the power that we create inside of our bodies. So when we're going through the experience of life, if we have high energy or low energy, it totally affects like how we're going to approach our life, how we're going to approach our next year. Like, what are we going to accomplish? What are we going to accomplish today? What are we going to accomplish tomorrow? What are we going to accomplish over that entire time? And having a lack of energy or low It's going to affect our mood. It's going to affect our cognition. It's going to affect our memory. It's going to affect how we approach problems and issues in our life. It's going to affect how we associate and how we deal with other people, like our energy levels. If you have high energy levels, like you're going to want to do more. You're going to have that natural, vibrant energy. You know what I'm saying? And so what I want to address is that if you are suffering from a lack energy, if you have more days where you feel tired and drained than you feel energized and ready to do something, if you have more days where you struggle to remember names and your cognition just seems muffled or foggy, what I'm saying is that if you have brain fog, if that's an issue inside of your life, I created a free 30-day course where I address the 6 fundamental core principles to creating a vibrant and energetic mind. The neat thing that comes along with that is that when you have a vibrant and energetic mind, you naturally feel more joy. You naturally challenges. You are able to approach the life with more vitality, which means that you're going to be able to achieve your goals, your dreams, whatever it is inside of your life that you really want to achieve. Our body and our minds are the foundation for it all. And so if that's something you're interested in, there's a link down below inside of the inside of the description. And so I guess the last thing is joy is a natural reaction to accepting change with fluidity and acceptance. And so if you want to feel more joy, what would it look like inside of your life if you had 10% more joy over the next year? What would that look like? What are some things that would play out inside of your life? If you can figure that out, if you can write like legitimate things like, well, if I felt 10% more joy over the next year, I would blank, blank, blank. I don't know what that would be for you. I know for me, let's see, if I felt 10% more joy, I would probably reach out to family more often and create more positive connections with the people that I love. So what would it be for you? If you can do that, that's the first step. And then second step is get that vibrant mind by downloading that free 30-day course. All right, guys, take care. Love you and see you in the next video.